And there we are, live and in color. Nothing but the best for everyone. And I'm the first one in. Do I get to say that when I am the first one in? Microphone should be good this week, too. Hey, David, you're second. I beat you. So, yeah, I'm the first one in. Pretty much happens every week. So there we go. Hey, Steve, and I already said hi to David and Ed. How's it going? It's going pretty well. We got our, what is it? It's 91. Feels like 93. Cool down a little at the beginning of the week, and then we will be should be hitting the triple digits by next weekend. So, yes, it's time. It's here. I'm glad I made my last 3 trips out to the mountains last week, because might have 1 or 2 more, but it's warming up. It's almost time to shut down and do other things for the summer. Mic should be sounding good, though. Trevor came in and we were messing with it. We're going to get a new mic system. I'm still not happy with this mic, with the quality, what I hear when it plays back. I have no way to listen to it. I've tried to adjust it. It never seems to do anything. So, and there's no EQ on this audio for this mic. So I want something a little better. Get some better audio going with everything. But here we are, another week. I will mention it several times. Since we're at the top of the hour, we're just getting started. We will not be live next week. I will try to see if we can put something together to throw it up for next Friday for those come a-looking, but we won't be live next Friday. I have other plans, so during that time period space. So I will not be live next Friday. I will return after that, though. It's always good to see me. See, everybody says that. Definitely easier to hear you. Okay, so we did fix the one thing. I'm just not happy with it. We keep having that problem off and on. I'm not quite sure what the deal is of why we have to constantly reboot it. Unless, who knows, it's something he's doing when he's in here using this computer for the few things he uses it for. This is supposed to be my workstation, but of course we all know that never quite works that way. So good week. I don't think I talked to too many people. Talked to Shoes and I did talk to Ron, and I did talk to Greg. Yeah, I did talk to a few people through the week, so. But it was, it's getting that summertime, so everybody's getting ready to kind of shut it down, go just mind their business and take care of business through the summer. So, and then there's the research and all that stuff. Everything you try to plan for the next season and fall. Of course, we have to say the rendezvous, November 14th, 15th, and 16th. So it'll be the 21st annual next November. So looking forward to that. And I already got some ideas and things put together, hoping with the cooler weather, not only do we draw a nice crowd, but I'm hoping I can lure a nice variety of guest speakers throughout Saturday. So, and maybe bring back the hike. Hike's been so difficult with the heat and stuff, and then some of the people can't physically, it's challenging to people. So we've had a few good ones, see if we can do a couple things, kind of give us something besides just sitting around the campfire and telling stories and telling tales. But Chasing Legends, we will be trying to put those together for the rest of the month. And I got to get ahead of those a little, which I'm always a little ahead, but I got to get it ahead because Trevor will be heading for Europe again. So Trevor will be gone. So I'll be holding everything down on my own. So I like to have everything kind of a month ahead so I can back off. So actually when he takes off, I take a little bit of a breather outside of checking the emails and stuff, which I try to catch up emails, messages, comments, and stuff as I can. So, but like I said, the heat's coming in. Less work this week than the last 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks I've been buried. You can tell a little bit more about my chipper attitude today, because while it's fun to get out there and kind of stretch the legs and get a little sunshine, it's hard to be on the upbeat side at the end of Friday after you've been out there for 8 or 10 hours in the sun. So Definitely nicer. We'll see how I work through the summer on that. I don't know how many of these we've done so far since we kicked back into doing lives. It's always a twisted thing because I did keep track of them when we started doing lives, but then after we did roughly 100, I stopped. And then once we started doing lives again, we decided not to do lives but do Chasing Legends, which is what we called the live program. And so then Chasing Legends became what you see today. And then now we just have live. So I don't know. We never came up with a real name for it because we took the name and took it and put it elsewhere. So Chasing Legends has been many things. But there it is for this week. Like I said, it's been kind of a nice week, but it wasn't. It was kind of starting to go through files and stuff and getting through. We always got to prepare. It takes a while to prepare the day and this day in the Superstition Mountains. I have to pull together. Usually there's about 50 or 60 of them. Get them in order, and then once they're all in order, kind of back check, make sure I got everything kind of correct, and then we have to sit down and film them. And then once they're filmed, that's an editing nightmare for Trevor because he has to do them. It's not like one big thing like normal, and once he gets it set, it's each one is individual. So we got to go through those, and I do have my list of them. I'm going to try to get June all lined up and stuff, and then for next year, whatever we're going to do next year, I don't really want to repeat these, so I'm going to try to pick one for each day, and that's a lot. It's 365, but see if I can get 365 embellished or more add to it the rest of the story on some of them, pick them, highlights and so forth. So that's what we're going to do. Pretty sure we're still streaming. I haven't seen a comment for a while, so everyone either fell asleep, everyone left. Oh, there you go. Do you have Walter Gassler's manuscript? Yes, I do. I've had that. That is something that it should be coming. It was a discussion. Greg Davis found the original formatted ones to be sold. So hopefully, end of summer or going into this fall. What I will try to say is I'm planning on having a lot of that material that I'm about to speak of at the Rendezvous for sale through the museum. That's the manuscripts. That would be Walter Gassler's manuscript, the Bark Notes, the newspaper articles of the Superstitions, Milton Rose's Rainbow's End, which is another one, both Erwin Ruth's Fervent Romance in Mexico, or whatever those two manuscripts are called, A Dawn in Washington. Try to get those. I think there's 7 or 8 of them. I'm going to try to just keep listening, Lacey. You're fine. But we're going to try to get all those and have them available again in the museum for reprint. If that goes the way it appears to be moving forward, one of the things I'm definitely going to do is make sure at the Rendezvous, ahead of time I'll tell you, but there'll be, the museum has the rights to those, and we will still make sure those come out and people will get those. So you'll be able to purchase whatever you don't have. I think Adam Stewart papers are part of that. Al Morrow's little manuscript bit that was not published was part of that. I'm trying to think. There's like 7 or 8 that I can't come up with off the top of my head, and I have all of them. But yes, the museum, the Superstition Mountain Historical Society, those are reprints. So we're going to try to. I'm working with Greg Davis and the museum right now to get those reprints done again. So that will be nice for everyone. If you come out to the Rendezvous or you're going by the museum, you'll be able to get them. And then the other thing was the availability of some material. I don't know if they want to really have an online store and go that route. I don't know. So, but really trying to kind of get that material back. I don't know if the journal will ever come back or any of that type of stuff, but trying to make sure some of that type of material is available for people. And I've been very supportive of Greg doing that. And if you see Greg, thank him for being the point man on taking that to the current board of directors and getting that moved forward. So I believe that's going to happen. Another reprint I'm working on, associated with that, is Superstition Gold, which the Dons published in 1935. So I'm trying to put something together for that and look at the cost of that. And that might be something, again, that would be available at the museum, but it would be available through the Dons of Arizona, which would be for the nonprofit. Whatever cost you pay goes to the Dons. That would probably be at the Rendezvous as well. So we'll probably have a bunch of that. And that'll probably, I'm not sure whether, I'd really like it to be in a book form, but I'm not sure. So we'll see how that goes as the summer works by and I start editing and working on that. Just listening to like a podcast. Well, there you go. Nice stuff. I will bring the checkbook. Well, we don't take checks. We only take cash and gold. We do have scales, so we will take gold. Gary Connolly's new paper accounts. Oh, Gary Cundiff's. Okay. Yeah, Gary Cundiff's of Adolph Ruth are a good read. Yeah, Gary did him and God, I always forget both their names when I hear the one and all. But those guys did such a nice job putting that together. We all had the newspaper articles, but he put that little archive up through Ron's old Lost Dutchman site and then kind of had links to it. And it's really cool for following that story. You find a lot of problems and holes and difference between the newspaper account and the printed story and different things here and there. I've always tried, and I will continue to try this summer, been trying to track down the photographer's original photos, because he didn't take like one or two photos when he did. He took a number of different photos. They just weren't used in the publication and so forth. So those are archived, and I'm trying to get a hold of those to go through and get the prints off the negatives, so we can see, because I know there's one picture I've seen that I've never seen published, and it's similar to it's where Ruth's body was found. It shows the layout of the body. There's a couple of them that have been published. One is a close up of Gus Barkley. There's one of just the ground with the bones. There's another one of Barkley picking up some of the bones and getting ready to put them in the bag with the other things laying around. So I've seen those three, but then I ran into another one that gives you a different slight perspective. But I liked the perspective because it gave you a different angle of the site. So there's that, which I think that one isn't as neat looking, as in framed nicely. That's probably why it wasn't used, but it does show you that everything's kind of scattered everywhere. So Larry Hanna, that was Gary's guy. So it was Cundiff and Hanna. And those two guys from the Midwest did us a lot of favors, a lot of good. They would travel, but they would research, and I ended up working with them on a lot of material, on a lot of different things. And I'm sorry they don't, they kind of dropped out of it and stuff. I think people were way too critical of stuff. It was definitely, they were just pushing and coming up with great documentation, and they just kept digging and digging and digging. And then I think it was about the time they started going into the Tumlinson stuff. And once they got into Travis Tumlinson stuff, I think because there was so many Peralta stone map guys, got really mad. And I think that was kind of the beginning of the end, because Gary did the whole thing of showing you the carvings. And then he took beyond that, started showing with the carvings and the matches of Tumlinson's handwriting and their various things, and showing that Tumlinson actually carved the maps. And since then we've found a lot more that proves that. But once he started digging that and finding that it was there, just no one had ever really bothered to dig very deep into it. That really opened up a can of worms. And I think that was kind of like, he got more criticism for that than anything else. But I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to ask Gary, and I haven't talked to him for a long time. Is the copy of Adolph Ruth's last letter still at the Museum. I have no idea. I don't know if that is the actual real one. There's several different things that are supposedly. We're chasing down a couple things that have come into the collection that other people have claimed are parts of, or in the archives, that we're trying to verify if they're. And what I'm going to do this time is have them make sure they're dated, because there's a lot of fakes. There's a lot of fake stuff, and and think about it. If somebody fakes something from 1940 or 50, it looks pretty real now. So we're going to be going through some stuff and check a few things. What happens is a lot of times people start talking about something, and there are a couple particular individuals that will decide just to recreate. Another individual decided rather than recreate the actual thing, just show you the copy he made before the original disappeared. Well, that's kind of fun. I could do that, just write up all kinds of stuff. And I think it's always happened because there was a whole bunch of letters from Jacob Waltz to his sister and this and that. And I remember Tom Collenborn chased those things down and found out it was all BS. But it takes time. And then definitely it was easier to fool people in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. Now it's becoming more and more difficult to kind of pull the wool over people's eyes. One, it's the knowledge, but two, the science will catch you now. So, and the museum changed a lot too. They had a consultant come in and reorganize it and stuff, and things aren't where they should be. It's kind of, the layout's completely different, and a lot of things have been removed from viewing. Season 1, Episode 1. Did you ever get back to those locations with gold? Or are you talking down in the area of Black Cross Butte? We go out there occasionally. We were going to go down in there for one thing, and I don't remember what happened. There were several reasons to go back. I wanted to take Frank up Black Cross Butte. There's a medicine wheel on Black Cross Butte, and there's a cave up there. And there's a very deep trails. Now, the weird thing about the trails, that you can see them. If you go on Google Earth, you'll find them. They're deep. They had to be, it was either thousands and thousands of people or mules or whatever. But there's no reason for it up there. And there was a lot of activity up there. So I was going to take them up there to metal detect and kind of look over the area. Not a lot of people hike that. They usually just kind of hike it and come down. So we were going to work that area. There was some other things from the dam era that we wanted to check out and go through, and then there was a couple other caves down in there. And there was a copper vein that we were going to go down and check. I don't know what happened. I think it was we were getting so much. Well, a couple things happened. One, Fish Creek Hill went out, and then we weren't going into Fish Creek as much. But rather than go short and go to that area, I think it was. We had a couple, and I think it's on, we filmed it at the one point. There was people starting to follow us in there, or people sitting out there watching us, and that kind of got weird because we didn't know what their intentions were, and that kind of had us back off a little because we're kind of out there, me, Frank, and Trevor, and we're doing our thing, and then we suddenly realized people are kind of out there. We ended up at the one point, there was one guy on one hill watching us. There was a guy from a road with binoculars watching us. There was another guy with a drone, and we were like, nobody's supposed to know we're here. How come there's so many people and they're focusing? And that's when Trevor got hurt, and I started heading back to the car. And when I started to head back, one of the people just suddenly took off a run and jumped in a vehicle and took off because I think he thought, not knowing what was going on, that I was coming over to him. I was hurrying back to get Frank's walking stick and something to help Trevor, and instead I think he thought I was running over to him, and I think he took off because of that. History Channel kept moving you on from. Well, History Channel, there's a lot you do. Hey, Joshua. There are things that are under History Channel's auspices that I'll talk about that were viewed. And then there are things from History Channel that were moving forward, and that's under their thing. So their umbrella covers some things. One of the reasons we went out with the iPhones and started doing the filming that we were doing was when I realized, okay, if nothing else is happening, I gotta kind of do something to kind of like show what we were doing in the meantime, because I didn't stop going out, certainly. As soon as the show was, you were watching the show, I was still in the mountains, going back in and out of the mountains, and Frank was occasionally going with me. So we wanted to cover that a little to show that we were actually out there, and we would go to the sites, and because there was a lot of tomfoolery going on, but we also realized, to keep ourselves from getting in trouble and stay in good graces with History Channel, that we couldn't cross the line of anything that they considered material that we had worked on, we'd filmed, or that we were moving forward on. So we took the things we were more interested in than they were, and that's exactly what we did, because we were more interested in the actual gold we were finding than some of their stuff. Figured, okay, if they want us to go back filming, we can jump right back into that, and there that is. I did the pocket watch and the coins, and some of the stuff I found in Fish Creek was part of season 2, but some of the things that we talked about and I filmed and talked about and whatever, because I brought it to them and it never was filmed, and it was like, okay, we're going to use that. That was still, I considered, my property, because I was bringing it to them. We never went in and nobody showed me any type of, remember, unscripted is still scripted. There was nothing ever showed. We talked about it. We talked where it would belong in the next season, but it never was set in stone. So I thought, okay, that's mine, so I can do that. So that was kind of walking that line of making sure, and I still do that to this day, because obviously Beyond Oak Island, History's Greatest Mysteries, a lot of things I still work with History Channel, so I don't want to do anything to make them think, oh, great, he's touching this and touching that. If they wanted to reboot the show and it was an entirely different group of 5 people and they were going to use some of that material or some of those ideas, more power to them, because they own that season 1 Legend of the Superstition Mountains, what we filmed and the ideas incorporated in that was worked on by a group of people, and I don't have anything to do with that. I got paid for that. The stuff that follows, like I said, that I was giving to them, I didn't get paid for it, so I think it's still mine. So why did they call the Superstition Mountains the Foam Mountain? Because of where you can see the watermarks on the mountains. They didn't call them the Foam Mountains. They called them Les Espuma. It's because you can see the high watermarks. Hey, Trevor. Hey. Howdy all. Late again. There's Glenn. He's late. Glenn, who has a comment or a thumbs up for every This Day in the Superstition Mountains. What do you want?
I just came to say hi.
Okay, you just came to loom in here?
It's fine. I'll go.
No, you suddenly appeared like a giant raspberry.
Came to say hi.
Yeah, it was just kind of, I was talking and following along, and then there was an audience at the door of 4-legged and 2-legged people. I don't know what that was about.
Hello.
But you say, okay, you say hello. David says hello.
Hey. So I said hello.
I think Lacey went to sleep. She was listening, but I think she went to sleep. You can say thank you in person now for the things they sent.
Oh, this is, yeah, thank you. Oh, I was confused what you meant in person, because this isn't really in person.
Yeah, he is kind of looming behind me there. Yeah, now people's like, hey, Trevor, what's up? Dallas is there, though. There's Dallas. We just saw Dallas recently. Shh. Have a safe trip, Trevor. Oh, yeah, I told everybody you'll be...
I'm a couple weeks out from that, though.
But you will be leaving here soon. Well, you pop in once a month, so you'll probably be gone before they ever get a chance to see you again.
I'm working, so...
And he just wanders out. And he plays the tree guitar. Hillbilly Bob says hello. Okay.
I have a long essay to write.
Trevor's leaving. He's vanishing. Okay, thanks for shutting the door. No respect whatsoever. I need a room that has a really nice, cool air conditioner, and I need a locking door. So, anyhow, but that's where we're at and all that, I think. Yeah, so that's kind of, when you're looking at the History Channel stuff, kind of where I have to tippy-toe, and then there was a little Yeah, Black Trevor. There was the little bit of problem we had where I wanted to kind of talk through every episode, and we were talking about me doing portions of the episodes and explaining everything like a watch along, and then it didn't quite work, and because just so I really wanted to do that because there's so much involved, and people to understand is when they film an episode, we're doing 5-6 days at 12-hour days for that 42 minutes. There's a lot that's not in there, so you're seeing. And there is transportation moments, but there's a lot you don't see that happens and goes on. So I'll talk, and then people have blank looks, and I realize, oh, that's stuff that doesn't happen. See, he looks a bit like Ed Sheeran, and then he also looks a little bit like that guy from Fall Out Boy. Yeah, so he doesn't like that either. He's not big on. But if you ever go out in public, you'll find that there are a lot of Trevors. Yeah. A lot of them, I always see different versions of him. Are you going back out tomorrow? No, because I have someplace else I gotta go. So, yeah, I was thinking about, plus it's supposed to be really warm. So, we might go out during the week. I don't know. It's kind of like, because of the heat coming in and different things, so, but there's still some things we want to wrap up. So, and I just finally got Frank out for the first time in a year. So, but it's, the heat's coming in. So, but yeah, it's kind of in that perspective, kind of trying to figure things out. I read Bob Ward's book and found the site on Fish Creek was interesting, but he didn't. But did he? Yeah, he was a big stone map guy. He believed in the stone maps big time. He was big on that stuff and Knife Hill and all these things. I don't know. The really smart people. It's funny because there's a number of people. I'm not going to say their names because I don't want to split them up into the two groups. There are a lot of smart people that I respect very much that are very intelligent. People that in their area and field I couldn't dip a toe. But I find it funny how I would say 50% of them think the stone maps are utter just waste of time and understand and see through them and can just explain it to you. And that was before the stone map stuff got broke on Tumlinson and stuff and all the other stuff. And then there's another group that just believe in them so very much. There's a middle group, but I mean, you can tell where someone like Tom Collenborn stood because Tom, take his books, all his stuff, you don't find him saying anything really about the stone maps. He'll talk about Travis Tumlinson supposedly found the stone maps, and he'll tell a story about it. But there's nothing Tom ever dips a toe into it beyond that. Tom thought that was foolishness and not worth his time, and I don't know if he ever mentions. He might have done an article on Tumlinson and the stone maps. Other than that, for the Collenborn Chronicles, I don't know if it's ever made it anywhere in any of his books. I never heard personally to sit around and talk with Tom. I never bothered because I knew how Tom felt, and there you go. Mr. Frank does not want to get too far from the stash of gold. He doesn't want to get too far from his Shih Tzu. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. Frank is attached. He's like a 15-year-old boy that just found a girlfriend. He has a Shih Tzu. Seems like your vast knowledge of everything, you probably knew pretty much everything that was being told to you the first couple of episodes. What? Seems like your vast knowledge. Yeah, it was kind of like, when you're doing that stuff, the idea is let Clay do his thing. And Clay, we were at Clay's all day talking. So they're using what they think is the best kind of look for it and stuff. And the same thing as when we went to Tom's. It was supposed to be Tom and Frank, but Frank isn't really a Dutch hunter. He's far more knowledgeable now than he was then. And so you notice in there, it's me and Tom start talking and getting into the maps and stuff because it's a kind of a weird thing. Um, it's just you're trying to find what'll interest the audience, but to bring people in. We wanted Clay and Tom shoes. We wanted Ron Feldman, but I think there was something else he had done, or he was in a kind of a spot where he couldn't do anything with us. We wanted to get a bunch of people on. We did John Wilburn, but they weren't able to use his footage. There was a couple other people, and they weren't able to use their stuff. We got Jack Sanfelice at the end. That was Frank. Getting Jack in there with the Silver King, which helped Jack out. He was able to, by doing that, get the money to publish the next book. But we were trying to get a lot of people in there, and Greg Davis refused. There was a couple of people who just didn't want to be on television, but there was some people that didn't work out, didn't fit, and cutting room floor stuff. And so, but that was the whole thing. It was like you go through, and then what works, you kind of go with that. So someone might be telling me something I already knew, but you don't hear all the stuff that I was learning. We spent a day with Clay, almost 3/4 of a day, me and Clay alone talking, and they filmed almost all of it, and most all of that's not in the show. And then there was another day we sat with Clay, and Frank and them were there, and we hung out, and Clay went outside under the Palo Verde tree and sat in a chair, and he sat out there for 2 or 3 hours and talked about a lot of stuff off the top of his head. And I was there because, was it Noah or Pete told me, you got to hear this, because Clay's voice was sounding so good, so deep, so vibrant. And I put the cans on, and then I sat there for an hour or two just listening to Clay. So, and they didn't use any of that, but Clay ended up I think it was Christian Horner was there, and he was talking to Christian. And then Clay saw me sitting there listening, and then Clay's head eventually turned, and I realized after a while Clay was just talking to me. So he kind of switched his focus over. But it was just his history, which a lot of it I'd heard, but it was great to get it for the show. But yeah, they don't, you guys would love to hear the hours of stuff that never made the show. Tom Collenborn just sitting in his living room talking, me and Frank and Tom in the back room just sitting around talking, shooting the breeze. There was a lot of stuff. So yeah, the stone maps always looked really too fake. It's not so much looking too fake. You don't know what something's going to look at. I always just felt is, here's the thing I have the common sense rule. If you're going to make a map or something, why is someone going to make it so complicated, so heavy, and so ridiculous for anybody to use it? Because anybody has to use it. So since it doesn't have anything relevant, I don't see a bunch of Jesuit stone maps around or anything like it. It just is puzzling. But Tumlinson had done that type of thing before, so it was kind of his progression into it. But I kept looking at it. I'm surprised he didn't try to make it like a Mayan tablet stone or an Aztec tablet stone or something like that, Montezuma's treasure. That would have worked really well too. But yeah, I was just kind of like, I'm not always sold on the real maps, and then this one doesn't make any sense. So we need to hike with Greg Davis the first way. He loves to tell them stories. Set it up, Wayne. Well, it's getting too warm for him now. I don't know if we'll have another, but we'll do it again. We were supposed to do something. He bowed out, and we changed it, and the scheduling didn't work. I wanted to do a cardiac. I wanted to do the 3 stages of cardiac and just kind of get a feel of people come out and then see how people were on it before I did something more like a cave. Clay know Barney Bernard. I'm sure he met him. I'm sure he knew him. He had to know Barney because Barney ran the Dude Ranch stuff and all that stuff, and Clay was around, so Tom knew him. Yeah, a lot of people knew him. Wayne Bernard. There you go. Just now notified you are live. Crappy internet today. Yeah, There you go. Do you know anyone that has an extensive file cabinet as yours on the mountains? Greg Davis, Tom Collenborn did. Shoes' stuff is so boxed away and stuff. I don't know if he keeps it in files and stuff. Jack Sanfelice had a good set of files. He had binders and stuff with stuff in them. So I know Jack had a pretty good sized collection. Tom and Greg. Greg probably has the biggest collection. Tom probably had the most important collection. There's a lot of stuff between the two of them. I'm trying to think of who else. Yeah, I always would say Greg and Tom are probably the two biggest collections amassed. Then the Superstition Mountain Historical Society has material that comes from all sources. I don't think Clay was ever a collector. I don't think Clay has a ton of stuff. I'm sure he has plenty, but I don't know what he has or what he doesn't have. There's a little difference sometimes. Sometimes someone like Clay's focused into one area, searching for the Dutchman, so they don't need a lot of other stuff. I always pull up all that stuff. So Clay knew that. Greg Davis, who expects. What happened to Pegleg's paper maps? I'm sure the family still has most of that stuff. If they don't, I know the person that does, and they probably shouldn't have them. And who knows what happened to them from that, which is a shame. But the family had that stuff because Frank took pictures of that stuff. And I don't think they were, I don't know, the Tomlinsons had, it's a funny story because there's a lot of, like Frank showed me, said, check this picture out, it's on leather hide, it's the Julia Thomas map. And I'm like, okay, that it's out of a book that said this is a rendering of what it might have looked like, and now here's the exact same thing, supposedly made by Julia Thomas. Come on. So that was kind of, for me, like that big nail driven right through Travis Tomlinson's honesty, which, hey, it is what it is. But yeah, I know the family had a ton of the stuff, and then I know there was someone that kind of worked the family, and that's unfortunate. And I don't know if the family got the stuff back or the other person ran off with it. I know Frank got a lot out of that, a lot of pictures of the material, and I have copies of those pictures. And Frank has his archive of that. And mine was just certain parts of it I wanted, just preservation if something happened to Frank or something would happen that someone would have proof of some of it. Jack Felice is one of my favorite storytellers. Did Jack ever meet Bob Ward? I think Bob Ward was dead and buried before Jack ever came out here. Jack already got those treasure maps. I got 100. Yeah, I'm trying to think, because Bob died what? 91? 92? Jack came out 95? 93? Yeah, Jack. Remember, Jack didn't live out here. He came out. I don't know if he would have ever met Bob. I don't. Yeah, so I don't know. That's a tough one. I wouldn't pin Jack on it though. But I wouldn't think he would have met Bob Ward. I know the people that were with him, and his family, and some of the friends, and some of the people that were with him. But I don't remember San Felice being around. Did Robert Kesselring identify all the targets from the stone maps? Interpretation. I am going to bow on that. I like Bob. I think Bob's a pretty cool guy, and we've gotten along very well. As I've gotten along with Bill Blackwell as well. My problem with that is I know everything I need to know about it. I know about where they were dropped, how their first trips and his trips into the mountains went. I know way too much. If Mr. Kesselring wants to tell his stories the way he does, that's fine. There was a lot of phone calls when they did Lust for Gold. He was up and down and all over the place. I was glad he saw it, and he seemed to be fine with it in the end, but I don't really understand. I don't know. I don't want to dig into that deep mess because, again, I don't understand the targets. There's targets that are solid rock and stuff that's never been moved, and it's been solid rock for over 50 million years. I don't understand it. So I tend to just say, hey, Bob Kesselring was a really nice guy. Oh my God, if he would have made... Yeah, the Mayan Aztec thing would have been awesome, wouldn't it? He could have done so good with that. That would have been just... I think the Peralta thing was pretty smart, too, though. He got Kesselring and a few other people. Thank God it's Friday, one more week, and then off for the summer. There you go. I just don't see the supers and the stone maps. Again, you and I could sit down and just write something randomly out and make something that doesn't really have to mean anything. And then we can say, oh, this was found in the Superstition. It has to be something to do with this. And then people would be able to find ways to make it magically work. Because that's the beauty. When it really doesn't mean anything, it can mean anything. Okay, so the markings were just stuff, and I have, I've because of the family, the descendants of Tomlinson, I've always been respectful about not putting that stuff out there in public. It's really kind of funny because I don't want to show all these different drawings with all those symbols on them in different ways, and some of the symbols are on some things that were never put on the maps, but you can see them scripts. There's a lot that shows you that Travis was doing that stuff and trying to work out what he wanted to do and stuff. Then he made the trail maps, and then I think he came up with the idea to make the horse and the other map. It is what it is. I always thought that's the TV show. I always thought, I don't know how long it would last, but going to a TV show just saying, here's the con in this. And I think there's at least 7-8 episodes of things that you could just say, this is how people have been taken. I don't know. There's people that believe it's a celestial star map, remember? And then Oak Island did the same thing. It's like, oh shit, if it doesn't work with what on the ground, then let's just put it in the air. Do you remember all those trolls you had a while back? They were all me. Well, there you go. So you're bipolar, or you got like Sybil, you have the personality thing. Who else has your space, alien, UFO? Who else has your... Which one is that map, Craig? Oh, I don't know. There's some weird maps out there. Yeah, there's the one that has all the UFO landing sites and stuff. I'm not quite sure where that freaking thing came from. And all it's just weird, Give someone a piece of paper, they'll come up with a map. No, he never met them. He was just reading his commentary books that Bob had written. Okay, things are getting back to normal here. I'll be out there. We'll have to meet up with a friend. We're going to see Time to Drink to Bob Ward. Yes, we must drink to Bob. I've been drinking to Bob the whole time. Oh, I believe you now, buddy. I get it. I love talking stone maps. I became better about it because I was so frustrated early on, because to me it was just like, Jesse. Okay, but anyways, well, he's getting old, and maybe he's having some health problems. I didn't like talking about him early on because I didn't understand why it was such a big deal. To me, it was like, it's nonsense. Why would you, it's just like other things that are nonsense. And I tried to give people the benefit of the doubt, and it kept coming up like, sorry, it just kept coming up like, I don't understand what the reasoning is behind this, because it was just like having a pot or a jar that has holes all through it trying to keep water in it. It just wasn't working. And Joe Roboto, Rick Gwynn. And there's a lot of people who are good friends of mine that really, and I would have dug for them, I went out to their spots. I filmed and we hung out and I listened to the stories, but there was nothing there that would trigger me to make me think there was ever anything there. And so the moment I saw it, which was Sikorsky's book, that's the first time I really saw the stuff. And I was like, that was my whole thing. Randy was more into it. I just told him, you can go out in the mountains and see stuff in everywhere. I used to play that game with him. See that? See the heart shape? See those two stones? See how that parallels or syncs up to this? See that? It builds a triangle and all. And he'd really get into it. Yeah. And then I go, you know what that means? I just made it up. It means nothing. And we did that all the time. And it was just me trying to point out to him is you can do that. And so that was an important thing. But, it is what it is. So, so I don't know why Jesse would. I have to query Jesse on that. I mean, like I said, maybe he's not aging well. So, I don't think I've ever heard Ron speak highly of the stone maps. Shoes is a stone map guy. The New Mexico thing. Different people have different takes on them and stuff. But like I said, it was like I didn't get it. Then Gary Cundiff did his thing. And then once Gary did his thing, then Frank made the trip. And then he talked to the family. And each person had went out. And then it just kept like going, okay. And then I was getting it. Because one thing you got to remember is Tumlinson was coming through here and did spend time in the area. And once you start adding his knowledge that he built up during that time period and everything, you get what he was trying to put together. So Walter Gassler hinted that Tex Barkley had showed it to him. Jim Bark. Do you think that's true? No. I think Gus Barkley pulled Gassler's name. I think he liked him, and I think he kidded around with him, and I think some of what Gassler really believed, I'm not sure if that was really like 100%. It always makes me curious. I will say this. We will have to do a Chasing Legends episode on information concerning Walter Gassler. I will tell you what all the experts and people supposedly who knew him and everything they told us. And then I have actual found letters, and not Walter Gassler, but someone that knew him, and just before he died was very aware of where he was camped and where he was working and what was going on with him, and he thought he was a really nice guy. But there was, at the time this was all done, none of this is back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. This is back before all the controversy, we all made such a big deal of Walter Gassler. And, it was very interesting to me reading it. And so I wonder how much of it was. Barkley was known as a practical joker and, a lot of stuff. So there was a lot of, he pulled one over on a lot of people. I am reading it's Anne Felice's book. It's Anne Felice. I'm going to go try to follow that trail. Okay, I don't know what trail that is. Jack's book. Okay. Well, you got to take your shirt off, tie it around your head, and just. How I remember Jack sometimes when you were out with Jack. He was like the last trip he was ever going to make, and you thought he might die. He always made it, but it was like, oh, it's hot, man. We need to rest. So. Good Jack, good old Jack. I heard his book is out there, The Policeman. So anytime you want to do that, and I know those other guys keep posting videos of them from about 5-6 years ago. They keep re-editing them and pushing them out there. So Jack is forever. We were going to do something with him, and he never got back. He wanted Trevor to sit down with him, and I told him, let Trevor know, and we'll just come down, and you work out what you want to do, because he's more of a scripted kind of guy. And I said, Trevor will sit down, and you can knock them all out, and then you build your YouTube. Trevor will edit them, set them up for you, and you can just do whatever you want. And let him do whatever he wanted with that stuff. All his. And I think he just got tired of it all. I think he likes the attention when it's there in the moment, but I think, I didn't get the answer to where they lead. Maybe they led to Tomlinson's ranch. The answer to where the stone maps lead? They don't really lead anywhere. Interested in the JF horse trail that Ron likes to cover. Huh, yeah, that's nice out there. It looks like your doggy had a steak in his mouth. It wasn't yours, was it? No. What did he have in his mouth? Shouldn't have anything. It better have been a toy. We'll have to go back and watch to see what they had. Hopefully it wasn't a rabbit or something like that. Did you have something? Or Jax had it? Oh, they're wearing bandanas. It could have been you saw him go by in the bandana. Jax is wearing a dark bandana. Rocky has a red, white, and blue one. They're having a thing about wearing bandanas every day. I don't know why. I'll be out there tomorrow, but I'm going around the east side of the camp. Check out the hole in the rock and behind it. Cool. Yeah, get up there. See, flash a light. Yeah, I'll let you know if but I got something planned in the morning, so I don't really want to get out there. It's going to warm up, so I don't want to be out there in the afternoon. So that's kind of how that works. I can prove that the stone maps are real. Well, it doesn't matter, Steve. Because the people that don't believe into it don't believe in it, and you're going to have a different solution and different thing than anybody else. And then when somebody finally takes you out there like other people, you're going to not be able to find anything, and there won't be anything there, and there will be an excuse of why there's nothing there, and you'll be one of 1,000 people that's come up with this whatever. So there you go. So it's better not to argue. You can believe in it. I'm not telling you don't have to believe in it. I can just tell you what I've seen and what's there. So the stone maps is what you see carved there were made by Travis Tomlinson. He made that stuff up. And because of the drawings before the maps, and there's more than one set of maps too. There's a smaller set of maps, and then there's another set of maps similar to the size of these ones. And the other one large size, which matches these ones, are still in Texas. So why would you make multiple versions of the same thing? Oh, because you're trying to sell them. And there's also letters from Erie Schaefer and what was the guy's name? Anyways, a bunch of them had letters, and they said the stone map guys are back and they have more maps to sell. And that was a killer for me. It's like, oh, okay, so then Bob Garman bought in, and Bob Garman had money and pumped money into, there was a lot of that going on. So, all right. Back east guys come and say that they are natives. Oh, natives. Okay, natives is what? Natives is Indians, or the natives of Arizona? I don't know. Okay. What do you think of Dan Lowe and his theories in general of that? I don't know who Dan Lowe is. I know Lowe's, that's a place where you can get lumber. Fishes to Woody. Yeah, I haven't talked to Woody recently. Reverse headstock strat. Yeah, left-handed. No, it's a right-handed strap, but it's a left-handed strap because everything's backwards. Everything's backwards. If you look at the pickups that are backwards, and you look at all that stuff, so everything's kind of reversed. It's a weird strat, but yes, the pickups are done, and the whole thing's kind of like, it's a rabbit hole guitar. It sounds very cool, though. It does have its own unique sound because of that, because how the pickups and everything are set. So, do you miss Clay Douglas? I don't even know who Clay Douglas is. Who's Clay Douglas? Backwards. Well, it's not bad. It's a left-handed neck, and then the pickups are put on different, because if you look at it compared to a normal Strat, the pickups are aligned differently, which actually is kind of nice, because the bridge pickup, normally your one knob is too close to it to work off of. But yes, it's a kind of an odd guitar, but it has its own unique sound. It's very cool. This is Carol. Well, hi, Carol. Electron generator. Okay, backwards. Yeah, there we got that Clay Doug. I don't know. Clay, worst story. at one of your runners is one of the best stories of the Dutchman. Clay Douglas was the free American. I don't know. I'm not looking for money, evidently. You didn't listen to my introduction of how I've given things to museums. Okay, well, there you go. I didn't say you were interested in money. See, this is one of those weird things where it just gets weird. Now Josh and Steve are going to go. Yeah, the family even called the guy a sucker for buying it when they bought it. Oh, Carol Ingle, okay. Junior. Carol Ingle Jr., okay. Yeah, that was weird, dude, because I don't think, well, we didn't see it at the Treasure Hunt of the Year Award. I don't know if anybody had told you. We had a little moment for Tree, and I know you knew Tree, and very well and all, and I don't know if you got out and spent any time around him, anywhere out there before he passed, and Larry and them. I don't remember that, because, yeah, we got Sal to go out there and talk to him, Salvador, but, yeah, I haven't seen you, if you're who I think I'm talking about, but since, man, it's been a few years at the Rendezvous with Alan and Dave Cook, because the last time I probably saw you was you were with Alan and Dave Cook, and that's been a minute. So, yeah, if you are who I think you are, Carol Ingle Jr., so, not sure, so, and I know some stories about your dad, and Dutchman State Park and some other stuff. I'm going to make some stuff. Me and Frank talked about it. We did a goof on the stone maps once where we talked about our interpretation of them and stuff, which was total like Monty Python stuff and all that. So, but, yeah. So, yeah, okay. Yep. You said yep. So I take it you are who you say you are. Yeah. That was probably the last time I saw you. You, Dave Cook, and Tree. And that had to be 3-4 years ago, at least. And because Alan came out not last year, the year before, but he came out with Tom Van and Larry, and I'm trying to think the time before that, because, yeah, so it would have been the last time. I miss Dave too, man. Cook was a good dude, man. Dave was a really good dude. All of us do. So, but yeah, I spent some time with Alan before he passed. I don't know if you got to spend time with him. So, I hope you did. He was, he changed a lot. He was, but yeah, he kind of, that was a rough ride for him, man. So, but glad to hear you're out, and I hope you're doing well. Because, like, again, I haven't seen you for a long time. It's been a number of years. And I expected to see you, or hear about you around Allen's, but I know people around Allen come and go and don't always are seen eye to eye with him at times. Did you make any interesting trips this year so far? No, not as much as I hoped. There's things of interest, of serious interest. I don't know I don't know how far I would talk about. It's what will they become? What will happening to all this? I don't really know, it's just it's kind of like this. The summer came up on us too fast once I got certain things right. I'm glad you're alive, and thanks again for introducing me to Tree. I got to hang out with him that was, I think everyone, it was a weird transition period for him, and Carol will know this. It was, he could be a difficult person, very difficult person, and he changed a lot in the end. And I will say there's, for 5 or 6 hours, me and him just basically sat there together talking one day, and I don't even know if he sipped any water the whole day. I know he got up to pee once. But it was interesting because he was kind of holding on to the end of the tree of old. Yes, Frank's still around, and but I was just out with Frank this last weekend, but there was a different side of him, and I'm glad some of us got to see it and all. And I felt the worst part was just how much he was suffering, man. That was just tough to watch, because people shouldn't have to suffer like that. And wasn't doing it purposely himself. There should be, it wasn't like it was going to cost us millions of dollars for him to try to get better. There was no better. There was an end of the road. It would have been nice. Difficult. That's no shit. Had his moments. I think he would agree. Pony Rock seems to have same unanswered questions to it. Yeah. I wanted to create for this whole thing a backdrop of just all this cool stuff like that on the shelf right behind me, so people can see it and stuff. Maybe we'll do that different perspective than just the guitars, because this is the perspective everyone gets to see on camera with me. So there you go. But Carol Frank's still around. He was just out with me, so we had a good time. The first time he'd been out in a year. People getting older, people not as much into things at times. There are those of us that hang, and just it's part of our life perpetually. And then there's people that can drift in and out of it. So, and the rendezvous and certain things is always give people a place to kind of drift back in, to know there's friends and like-minded people. Happy birthday next week. Well, I don't celebrate it, but thank you. So, I'm not a birthday person. Not for any other reason than just, if we have a cake, it's because the kids wanted a cake. That's about it. I'm not one of those people that makes the plans the whole week and then it takes 7 days to plan out and work out my birthday and go out for dinners. No. I will take cash money in a bag or gold, so I will take that. But yes, I always find birthdays, to me, is after you're 16, 17, it's just kind of a bothersome thing. And so I'm not a big birthday guy. I'm a kind of a not birthday guy. But it just means you're older. Dan Lowe is the guy who runs the website. I thought you might know, which he was. No big deal, man. Yeah, I've never heard of him. Dan Lowe. Shoes maybe has, or someone else. Sure, a lot of great mineralization in some of the spots you've been to. There is some really good mineralization out there, and we were glad we found it. We've always investigated it with metal detectors, taken samples, and used the Falcon and kind of tried to get an idea. And then kind of, I just turned 53 and I dread even tying my shoes. Is it? Oh, it's 63. No, it's 53, isn't it? Got that weird light over here to light up my face. Well, anyways, 53, 63. You should be able to tie your shoes. A lot of I say, because I don't really even try. I just kind of, don't worry about it. Get boots. Wear boots. Cowboy boots. Or some pair of Vans. You could always get a pair of Vans and slip on your shoes. So there you go. But yes, birthday coming up. We'll do Chasing Legends. Then it'll be my birthday, and then I won't even have to recover from it because I don't care. And then Friday there will not be a live. So we will try to put something in its place with maybe a little introduction. There's no live this week, so people kind of understand. Maybe we'll do a bonus Chasing Legends. But yeah, we won't. I got something set up. Occasionally, once on a blue moon, I can't get around the schedule. And whether sometimes it's the Dawn's Camp with Discovery Camp, but then in this case, it's just, I couldn't, I knew it was coming, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do anything other, Trevor. We'll just find something to stick in there and get by. So I'm going to wrap it up, because we've been here an hour and so forth. It was great to see Carol Engel, catch up with him, and see Dallas. All of you guys are welcome, and it's always cool, Steve and Joshua and all you guys. But yeah, it was definitely cool to, I don't know, I hadn't heard from Carol for quite some time. Like, again, last time we saw each other, I'm digging back, because I'm knowing Tree didn't make it out last year at the Rendezvous. The year before was just him with Larry and Tom Van, and then I don't know, maybe it was the year before, but yeah, the last time I had seen you there, I'm pretty sure it was Dave Cook was with you guys, so it had to be close to 5 years ago. It'd been a while. So, all right, thank you, Lacey. I hope we entertained you. You had your eyes closed, put your feet up. David, make that woman some dinner. Get yourself in the kitchen and do it. Stream popped up in my guitar feed. Huh, well, maybe it's all the guitars screaming behind me. There you go. Anyhow, so thanks for joining us, and thanks for all that, and good to see you, Carol. And thanks as always, Wayne. Thanks to Live. Thanks, Wayne. Have a great weekend. See ya. Hey, Kim. Kim, hope you and Chris are doing fine. Oh, see you, Lacey. Didn't even say goodbye to me. Piss on you, Kim. Bye, Wayne. Just everybody. Yeah, it's just opinions, man. Everybody can hang around the campfire. If it ever gets too, the only reason you'll ever see me get is someone frustrated is someone just keeps going on, and it's like, just give it a rest, have a drink, man. Let's play guitar or something, man. It's not that big of a deal to be, rig up and deli. No, I want to put lights in here. No, not pendant lights. Oh, and Chasing Legends, make it visible in contrast. I don't know. We'll work. I'm not going to mess with the sign. The sign is what David did is what the sign is. It will never be messing with what Master David did. That's what it is. So, anyhow, by the way, yeah. But anyways, I'm going to get out of here. But yes, we've been working on some type of lighting, and the lighting would reflect on that. It would be something we could move around and dim. And so there. Chasing Legends, Hendrix. All right, so everybody, have a good one. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great weekend. Have a great rest of the week. Catch Chasing Legends on Monday. We won't be around next Friday for live. We will probably post something according to that, and then we'll put something up so everybody has something to do, so everybody doesn't get all mad at me because I decided to, had something else I had to do. Can't be here all 52, but I try to make most of the Fridays. So that being said and done, it's time for grocery pickup and dinner. Thank you all. Have a good night. We'll catch you in 2 weeks.